Chapter 2. The 4 foundational English ciphers, plus Gematria and Geometry. In Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma, considered to be the Bible of Freemasonry, a text once only shared amongst 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemasons such as Pike, much respect is paid to Kabbalah, which again is the source of the significance of the relationship between letters and numbers. Before we uncover the 4 foundational ciphers of English Gematria, let us warm up by reading an excerpt by Pike's famous text, which has been immortalized in Washington, D.C. in a statue of Albert Pike, with Morals and Dogma held securely under his arm. As you read, keep in mind Washington, D.C. is not only the headquarters of the United States federal government, but also the headquarters of the ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry for all of North America, and once again, the city named after the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, George Washington. If you are not familiar with the Scottish Rite or their headquarters in D.C., it is known as the House of the Temple, and its exterior architecture features 33 pillars, each 33 feet tall. In just a moment, I'll reveal what the number 33 has to do with the Kabbalah as well as the federal government. As you read the excerpt that follows, notice Albert Pike says there are 10 ciphers, where he is referencing the ancient Gematria practice in relation to Hebrew, a 22-letter alphabet, same as the ancient Phoenician alphabet, the world's first that Hebrew is based in, same as English. It is important to understand there is more than one way to decode a word from letters into numbers, and that each method is interrelated, which is why we are beginning with this passage from the only Confederate general with a statue in D.C. Also, for your knowledge bank, in base 8, counting the number 22 is the equivalent of the number 26 in base 10. What we most commonly use for mathematical computation because of the 10 fingers on our hands. I'll cover the relationship between base 8 and base 10 later, but for now let's read Albert Pike's admiration for Kabbalah. One is filled with admiration on penetrating into the sanctuary of the Kabbalah, at seeing a doctrine so logical, so simple, and at the same time, so absolute. The necessary union of ideas and signs, the consecration of the most fundamental realities by primitive characters, the trinity of words, letters, and numbers, a philosophy simple as the alphabet, profound and infinite as the word. Theorems are more complete and luminous than those of Pythagoras, a theology summed up by counting one's fingers, an infinite which can be held in the hollow of an infant's hand, 10 ciphers and 22 letters, a triangle, a square, and a circle. These are all the elements of the Kabbalah. These are the elementary principles of the written word, reflection of that spoken word that created the world. You'll notice he uses the expression trinity of words, letters, and numbers. As we covered last chapter, this comes from the opening paragraph of the Book of Formation, the foundational text of Kabbalah, that states God created the world with language by merging the letter with the number to make the word. You'll also notice he mentioned a triangle, a square, and a circle. These are instruments of geometry, and again, Gematria is geometry within language. Very shortly, you'll learn how our alphabet and the numerical coding system behind it pay their respects to this fact. But first, let us reveal the relationship between the word Kabbalah in both English and Hebrew, and how Gematria of the word Kabbalah syncs perfectly with the names Morals and Dogma, as well as Washington, D.C. We'll begin by decoding Kabbalah, using Hebrew Gematria, and expand from there. In Hebrew, the word Kabbalah is expressed as follows. Again, Hebrew is read from right to left. Please use this chart below for 3 of the 10 most common Hebrew Gematria ciphers. As we decode the word Kabbalah, we will not cover the other 7 Hebrew ciphers Pike references because the purpose of this book is to understand the code behind English. There are already a number of books on Hebrew Gematria, and what you are reading now is the first of its kind on what has been kept secret about the English language all this time. So this is where our focus and energy will be dedicated. Hebrew letter, glyph, ordinal, reduction, traditional. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Daleth, He, Wa, or Vav. Zayin, Het, Tet, Yad, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, He, Zadi, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Taf. To make sure the three methods are understood, ordinal means the alphabetic order. Thus, the first letter is worth 1, and the final letter, the 22nd, is worth 22. In reduction, the rules numerology are used, meaning all letter values having a digit placement greater than the one's place are reduced to a single-digit number. Notice how the 10th letter, Yod, in reduction becomes 1, because 10 is 1 plus 0 equals 1. Then the next letter, what is the 11th in order, becomes 2, because 1 plus 1 is 2, and so on. As for the traditional method, it is the most commonly used Gematria cipher in Hebrew, and using the chart above is the best way to understand it. Now, having a grasp of the three most essential Hebrew ciphers, let us decode Kabbalah using each method. Ordinal, 19 plus 2 plus 12 plus 5 equals 38. Reduction, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5 equals 11. Traditional, 100 plus 2 plus 30 plus 5 equals 137. With these three methods, there is a mathematical check to ensure our computations are correct. Each value, when reduced using the rules of numerology, will equate to the same single-digit number. For example, the ordinal value of 38 is 3 plus 8 is 11, and 11 is 1 plus 1 is 2. The reduction value of 11 becomes 1 plus 1 is 2, and the traditional method summing to 137 is 1 plus 3 plus 7 is 11, and 1 plus 1 is 2. Thus, all three methods reduce to 2, so we can be certain our math is correct, as long as we put in the right numerical values for each letter. Now, using the English alphabet, let us also calculate the value of Kabbalah. We'll begin by using just the alphabetic order. This method is traditionally called Simple English Gematria or English Ordinal. For your reference, the English alphabet and corresponding number for each letter is as follows. Simple English Gematria, also called English Ordinal. Using the chart, Kabbalah sums as follows. Kabbalah equals 11 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 12 plus 1 plus 8 equals 38. As you can see and verify, the word Kabbalah in both Hebrew and in English, using the respective ordinal ciphers, sums to 38, very much like how the four-letter name of God and the name God match the English and Hebrew ordinal, as covered at last chapter. Another fun fact about 38 is Washington, D.C., a very Kabbalistic city. It's located smack dab on the map, coordinate 38 parallel north. For a bit more intrigue, let's also familiarize ourselves with the next most essential English Gematria cipher. What is the reduction method? Operating on the same numerology principle as the Hebrew reduction method. This cipher is also known as Pythagorean Gematria because Pythagoras, the Greek and the father of mathematics, believed the only true numbers were 1 through 9. In this cipher, J is the 10th letter because 1 plus 0 is 1, and so on. Same as Hebrew, Pythagorean Gematria, also called English Reduced. It may be helpful to remember the groupings of letters that equate to the same numerical value in this reduction method as well. Those groupings are as follows. Using this method, let us decode the words English and Gematria. As will become abundantly clear, our alphabet is based on the same Kabbalistic numerical system, just as Hebrew and Greek alphabets that came before it were. English equals 5 plus 5 plus 7 plus 3 plus 9 plus 1 plus 8 equals 38. Gematria equals 7 plus 5 plus 4 plus 1 plus 2 plus 9 plus 9 plus 1 equals 38. What do you know? More 38. What makes the number special is the fact that when you break it down in numerology, 3 plus 8 becomes 11. If you are not familiar with numerology, it's practice of breaking down larger numbers to single-digit numbers, unless the number breaks down to 11 or 22, while being reduced, and sometimes 33. In numerology, 11 is known as the master number, 22 is known as the master builder number, Hebrew is 22 letters, and 33 is known as the master teacher number. These numbers are most important of all, and we'll learn the reason why in Chapter 5. In our Gematria decoding, the rules of numerology also come into play with the reduction method. In the chart above, we covered how K, the 11th letter, is worth 2 because 11 is 1 plus 1 equals 2, and V, the 22nd letter, is worth 4 because 22 is 2 plus 2 equals 4. As a decoder, you have the option with these letters not to reduce them, but instead use the value of 11 or 22, respectively. To make sure the point is understood, we'll compute Kabbalah using two options. Kabbalah equals 20. K is 2. Kabbalah equals 29. K is 11. No matter which method you choose, when you break down the numerical value of the word to a single digit, it will still have the same numerology. From the Kabbalah decode with K as 2, the sum of the 20 is 2 plus 0 is 2, and from decoding with K as 11, the sum of 29 is 2 plus 9 is 11, and 11 is 1 plus 1 equals 2. If you use the ordinal method, the same is true. It too will reduce to the same single digit number, just as we decode Kabbalah with the ordinal method and it's summed to 38. 38 becomes 3 plus 8 is 11, and 11 is 1 plus 1 equals 2. Again, this language is mathematics, and mathematics is exact. So using these simple practices can always check the accuracy of your work, just like your teacher taught you long ago. Always double check. For good measure, let's also decode the word value. Value equals 16, V is 4. Value equals 34, V is 22. Value equals 61. Ordinal Gematria. Check. 16 is 1 plus 1 is 7. 34. 3 plus 4 is 7. 61. 6 plus 1 is 7. Good. All methods break down to 7. While the reduction method, there is one more rule you must be aware of. The letter S is the 19th letter, and it is the only letter in the English alphabet that has to be reduced 2 times to become a single digit. 19 is 1 plus 9 is 10, and 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. The other 25 letters of the alphabet will become a single digit with a single compression. Because of this unique feature in reduction gematria, S can be expressed as 1 or 10. Out of the 3 options with the reduction method, K as 2 or 11, S as 1 or 10, V as 4 or 22. It is the option with the S that will be the most useful, but understand each is important. And just the same as with the K and V options, no matter if you choose S to be 1 or 10, it will not change the numerology breakdown of the word. Also, an important point is that if a word has a K and a V in it, and you choose to reduce the K to 2, then you should also reduce the V to 4. At the same time, if you choose to make the K an 11, then you should also choose to make the V a 22. If a word has an S, K, and V in it, it is okay to make S 10, but leave the K and V as 2 and 4 respectively, or to make the K and V 11 and 22 respectively. In other words, the choice for S operates independently of K and V, but K and V should be treated equally, either recognizing their master number qualities or not. If this is clear, let us decode English using both S methods to ensure the point is comprehended about the numerology of the word, staying intact no matter what decoding path is chosen. English equals 38. S is 1. English equals 47. S is 10. English equals 74. Ordinal Gematria. Star. Gematria equals 74 in ordinal. Star. The number 38 breaks down to 11 and 2, same as the numbers 47 and 74. Now let's uncover the riddle with morals and dogma and Washington, D.C. in light of the Hebrew gematria of Kabbalah summing to 137. As we decoded moments ago, we will decipher both the title of the book as well as the name of the capital city using the alphabetic order, or the English ordinal method, which we learned first. Morals equals 78, and equals 19. Dogma equals 40. Morals and dogma equals 137. Washington equals 130. DC equals 7. Washington, D.C. equals 137. Not by coincidence, they both sum to 137, adding further significance to the number. The cornerstone for Washington, D.C. was laid on September 18, 1793, a date with numerology of 137 as follows: 1793 equals 9 plus 18 plus 17 plus 93 equals 137. What makes this number special is that it is the 33rd prime number, the master teacher, and the one that is especially sacred to Masonry, using the reduction method. Federal, Masonry, secrecy, Gnostic, and order each sum to 33. Federal equals 33. DC, the federal city. Masonry equals 33. DC, the federal headquarters. Secrecy equals 33. Masonry, a secret order. Gnostic equals 33, relating to esoteric knowledge. Order equals 33. One more time, DC is named after the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason and is headquarters to the same secret society that's building in the same city. Has 33 exterior pillars, each standing exactly 33 feet tall. For a little more, with 33 being the master teacher number, let us also decode teacher using the same reduction cipher. It too is 33. Teacher equals 33. As was mentioned in the first chapter, the Freemasons are scholars of the Holy Bible and have no doubt had an impact on the English translations, as well as the crafting of the English language itself. This evidence is in the very first book of the Bible, titled Genesis, which means in the beginning. Let us decode both the name Genesis using the reduction gematria and the meaning using the ordinal method. It is important to take away the relationship between these two methods, which are most important out of all the methods you will learn, and which will be used most frequently as we progress. Genesis equals 33 reduction. In equals 23. The equals 33. Beginning equals 81. In the beginning equals 137 ordinal. 137 is the 33rd prime number. Genesis equals 33. The amount of synchronicities within the language is mind-boggling, and this will become thoroughly understood as we advance. For example, if you decode alt with ordinal, it sums to 33. And if you decode alternate with reduction, it too equates to 33. Continuing on the path of the mathematics behind the language, what I would like to do now is show you the incredible tribute to Gematria within the coding of English. Before doing that, please rewind your mind to your days in middle school mathematics, or possibly high school, when you were taking your introductory geometry class. You likely remember drawing many lines, plotting several dots, and composing many circles. You'll likely also recall pi, the number expressed most often as 3.14. The first three digits of at least 2.7 trillion digits, which make up the entire number. If you have forgotten pi, It is commonly used to find the area and circumference of a circle. There is a mathematician's shorthand for finding pi, and it is dividing the number 22 by the number 7. Paying homage to this, if you have a PC and you type Alt plus 227, it will generate the symbol pi in your word processing program. Notice how 227 are the same digits that are used in the equation 22 divided by 7. If we write out the phrase 22 divided by 7, it will sum to 314, much like 3.14. Using ordinal gematria, the math follows. 20 equals 107. 2 equals 58. Divided equals 57. By equals 27. 7 equals 65. 22 divided by 7 equals 314. Ordinal, same digits as 3.14. Equally as interesting, if we write out 360, the number of degrees in a circle, and calculate using ordinal gematria, it will sum to 227. Again, pi is most commonly used to unlock the mathematics of the circle. The math is as follows. 3 equals 56. 100 equals 74. 60 equals 97. 360 equals 227 in ordinal. In 2015, a man discovered my work and was fascinated by these particular outcomes I was sharing publicly on my blog and YouTube channel concerning 22 divided by 7 and 360, which I had been teaching about since 2013. When these revelations first occurred to me, being the computer program that he was, he designed a test to discover that this was a coincidence or not. The way the test worked was by randomizing the 26 letters of the English alphabet a million different ways and determining how many different alphabetical orders would result in the phrase 22 divided by 7, summing to 314, and the number 360, summing to 227. What he discovered after numerous tests of randomizing the alphabet where the odds became 1 in approximately 8,500, a tiny fraction of a percentage point, a mathematical improbability, eliminating the chance of coincidence. If you would like to experience this test, please see his website, gematrinator.com. That same site will load a gematria calculator that will allow you to verify all the mathematics shared within this book. At my request, he set up the calculator with the same 4 base ciphers you are learning in this chapter as the default. It's funny to think the man who built it was once a critic of my work before discovering that what I was teaching was factual. He wasn't the first or last critic to come along since I began sharing, only to be persuaded to the truth of this code after applying and observing it, which is also my recommendation to you. Now, having become familiarized with the 2 most essential English gematria ciphers, let us learn the next 2 most important. Together, these 4 ciphers are the foundation of understanding the code behind the numerical English language. With these next 2 ciphers, we'll be able to examine the full geometry tribute within the gematria of English. For our third method, all we must do is turn the alphabetic order backwards. Thus, instead of A being 1 and Z being 26, Z becomes 1 and A becomes 26. For the fourth method, we reduce each letter of the reversed order to a single digit with the same special rules for the 11th letter, the 19th letter, and the 22nd letter. In reverse, it is P, that is the 11th letter, H, that is the 19th letter, and E, that is the 22nd. These methods are known as reverse ordinal, or reverse simple English gematria, and reverse reduction, or reverse Pythagorean. Please note that just like the forwards method, the reverse methods have the exact same mathematical checks, where the outputs from the words using the 2 reverse methods will reduce to the same single digit number using the rules of numerology. That said, only a word reducing to a numerology of 9 will reduce to the same single digit using the forwards and backwards methods. It is number 9 that is the glue. If a word has a gematria breaking down to 1 forwards, you can know automatically its backwards value will break down to 8, because 1 and 8 sum to 9. If the forwards value breaks down to 2, then the backwards value will break down to 7. 2 plus 7 equals 9, and so on. Reverse simple English, also called reverse ordinal. Reverse Pythagorean, also called reverse reduced. Star. In reverse, P equals 2 backslash 11. H equals 1 backslash 10. E equals 4 backslash 22. Now knowing the ciphers forwards and backwards, let us decode the word geometry. In addition, let's decode the plural for gematria, which is gematrio, using ordinal. Geometry equals 108. Ordinal. Geometry equals 108. Reverse ordinal. Gematrio equals 108. Ordinal. Geometry has matching gematrio. As you might recall, in the subject of geometry, symmetry is a very important concept. Here the word geometry has perfect symmetry forwards and backwards, summing to 108 both directions. Notice 108 has a numerology of 9. 108 is 1 plus 0 plus 8 is 9. And again, only words reducing to 9 using numerology will have the potential for this quality, forwards and backwards, which is quite rare. In Chapter 5, we'll talk about the numerous things that make 9 very special. Even more intriguing, notice the digits that make up the value of 108. Look carefully, think deeply. The number 1 is essentially a line, a foundational object in geometry. As for the 0, it is a circle, just as important to geometry as the line is. And the number 8 is 2 circles having perfect symmetry within the single digit that it is. Alone, the number 8 symbolizes the infinite, which numbers are, which language is. To think this is coincidental is to deceive oneself. Making matters even more interesting, the number 108 connects the sun, the earth, and the moon. It is said that the diameter of the sun is equal to 108 planet Earths, and the distance from the sun to the earth is equivalent of the diameter of 108 suns. At the same time, it is said the distance from the earth to the moon is the same as the diameter of 108 moons. On a related note, yogi, those practicing yoga, do 108 sun salutations for every equinox. The dates when we reach those special measurements between the sun and the earth, marking the changes of the seasons. At the same time, those who practice meditation often count 108 mala beads, and those who practice Tai Chi martial arts complete what are known as long forms, involving precisely 108 postures. As for the measurements between the sun, earth, and moon, they trace back to the Greeks, the first known civilization to calculate the mathematics of these objects and distances. As you'll learn in the chapter dedicated to the Greeks, Pythagoras, the father of mathematics, had a particular fondness for the number 108, which was found in a triangle of interest, the golden gnomon, where the obtuse angle is 108 and the acute angles are 36 degrees, as pictured. Now delve even deeper. Let us decode the words mathematics and circle. For mathematics, we will use the ordinal method, and for circle, we will use reverse ordinal. Please notice the overlap of 112, and think for a moment about this output. Mathematics equals 13 plus 1 plus 20 plus 8 plus 5 plus 13 plus 1 plus 20 plus 9 plus 3 plus 19 equals 112 ordinal. Circle equals 24 plus 18 plus 9 plus 24 plus 15 plus 22 equals 112 reverse ordinal. The value of 112 in light of the word mathematics is very similar to the most basic equation there is in the subject. 1 plus 1 equals 2. As mentioned in the first chapter, the mathematics behind the language have to do with the real-world mathematics, especially those pertaining to time. Consider we live in the world of cycles and circles, thus why the mathematics of the circle are so pertinent. And no doubt this being the reason for the synchronicity between the two words. mathematics, and circle. To the occult, meaning hidden, the circle is sacred. In reverse ordinal, sacred also sums to 112. As we will cover in the chapter on Kabbalah, this knowledge is connected to spellcasting and witchcraft. Please know that these are not necessarily evil. If you have ever read about witchcraft, it mostly pertains to casting spells that are intended to help people. From healing the body to bringing rains to fuel the growth of crops. In witchcraft, the very first thing a witch must do is draw a circle around the place the spell casting will be done from. Again, the sacred circle. On the subject, to show off our 4 base ciphers we have just learned, let us decode the words witch and broom to see what is uncovered. Before we do that, first know historically, in the fall, witches would put brooms or rakes or garden utensils between their legs and circle around the field, singing and dancing to prepare the land for the coming harvest. Thus where the relationship comes with the 2 words. This old tradition is most definitely paid tribute in the English language and was anything but evil. To parallel it to Native American culture, it is much like rain dance, which our history books have not associated with evil, unlike the witch. These differences in presenting information is what cultural programming is. Now let's uncover the symmetry between the words mentioned. Witch equals 63 ordinal. Witch equals 27 reduction. Witch equals 72 reverse ordinal. Witch equals 27 reverse reduction. Broom equals 63 ordinal. Broom equals 27 reduction. Broom equals 72 reverse ordinal. Broom equals 27 reverse reduction. As you can see, each method generates a perfect gematria, plural for gematria, between witch and broom for 4. Again, gematria is geometry in language, and this is one of many beautiful examples of the hidden numerical system symmetry between words having well understood relationships in U.S. history. The English-speaking nation, that is, we often learn about the Salem witch trials, where many were put to death at the behest of a judge. Most teachers don't ever point out that judge wears a witch's gown, however. For a bit more fun, let's decode the word judge and the word gavel. The instrument of judge uses the main order in the court, just the same as the words witch and broom. The words judge and gavel are perfect matches in all 4 base ciphers. The gematria calculations are as follows, and please feel inclined to practice your decoding calculations to compare with mine as we move along. Practice makes perfect. Judge equals 47 ordinal. Judge equals 20 reduction. Judge equals 88 reverse ordinal. Judge equals 25 reverse reduction. Gavel equals 47 ordinal. Gavel equals 20 reduction. Gavel equals 88 reverse ordinal. Gavel equals 25 reverse reduction. On the subject of judges, and to provide some more relevance to the numbers we just decoded, in recent history there was a big hubbub about a federal judge for the U.S. Supreme Court, and his appointment by the newly selected Republican president, Donald Trump, after the Republican Party prevented the prior Democratic president from appointing his justice of choice in the wake of death of Antonin Scalia, February 13, 2016. Please know that all of these mainstream narratives are nothing more than traps to divide the people of this nation. What is truly going on is organized theater by the numbers that is in tune with the Gregorian calendar. In the chapter on murder by numbers, we'll talk about the significance of Scalia dying at a ranch on the 44th day of the year, February 13. The judge appointed by Donald Trump to fill Scalia's vacant seat was Neil McGill Gorsuch, and he was confirmed by the U.S. Senate on the date of April 7, or 4-7, something like the number 47. The ordinal value of both judge and gavel, plus being a highly relevant number to DC, as we'll get into. April 7 is also the 97th day of the calendar year, which is the 25th prime numbers, also corresponding with judge and gavel, as well as Trump making matters even more interesting. The reduction method of the judge's name sums to 88, just the same as Republican Party, just the same as George Washington. Even better, using the ordinal method, Trump also sums to 88. So how appropriate he finds a judge with the name to match his and his party's, as well as the word judge itself. As we just decoded using the reverse ordinal method, let's now calculate the other relevant 88 gematria values as mentioned. Neil equals 22, McGill equals 29, Gorsuch equals 37. Neil, McGill, Gorsuch equals 88, reduction. The equals 15, Republican equals 47, Party equals 26. The Republican Party equals 88, reduction. George equals 39, Washington equals 49. Gorsuch became youngest SC Justice at the age 49. George Washington equals 88, reduction. Trump equals 88, ordinal. On the subject of 88, you might recall the headline story about Donald Trump being endorsed by 88 retired generals on the date of September 6, 2016. Just a little more than 2 months before the selection. If you write out 88 as a word, it sums to 69. What is the symbol on top of the Masonic arch, as well as being similar to the date, September 6, or 6/9. As will become understood, the coded numbers behind the spelling of numbers as we know them are extremely significant. 80 equals 38, 8 equals 31, 88 equals 69, reduction. 88 generals on 6/9, September 6th. For the record, the number 88 is known as the rep digit, meaning each digit in the number is the exact same digit. Thus, 11, 222, 3333, 44444, 5555555, 6666666, 7777777, 888888888, 999999999, etc. are all rep digits. Using the ordinal method, or our most basic cipher, rep digit equates to 88. The same speed time travel occurs in Back to the Future. Again, 8 symbolizes time, thus 88 does as well. Rep digit equals 88. And yes, if you notice, I am using the word selection in regard to Trump, not election, because as you will soon understand, we do not live in a democracy where we choose our leaders, far from it. Instead, we live in a Masonic dictatorship where all voting is nothing more than a predetermined spectacle and news is simply propaganda, meant to keep you in what is known as the American dream state, and along the way, delivered by the code. It matters not who votes, but who counts the votes. When you snap out of it, you'll realize the president is an orange Oompa Loompa and the latest man in a long line of living puppets to occupy the White House, among other things. For a bit more intelligence on Masonic dictatorship, let's decode the name Neil, McGill, Gorsuch using the ordinal method, and then I'll show you why the number 187 is also coded with his name, is so special in regards to Washington, D.C. and the selection of Donald Trump, which could not have been any more numerically aligned. Neil equals 40, McGill equals 56, Gorsuch equals 91. Neil, McGill, Gorsuch equals 187, ordinal. As will become understood, the number 187 is mega important. It comes from the 187 chapter long Torah, where the Kabbalah code resides. In Hebrew, the most commonly used name for God, Elohim, also sums to 187. In the Kabbalistic interpretation of the name, as we learned last chapter, the number 26 represents God as well. And here is where the two numbers connect. Notice what happens when we write out 26. 20 equals 107, 6th equals 80, 26th equals 187, ordinal. The same is true if you write out the biblical phrase, I am the Alpha and the Omega. Consider the Alpha and the Omega means the beginning and the end. With our base Gematria ciphers, the beginning, A, can represent the 26th letter, and so can Z, the first letter in Zeus, the Greek god, having named Gematria of 26 as covered. I equals 9, Am equals 14, The equals 33, alpha equals 38, and equals 19, the equals 33, omega equals 41. I am the alpha and the omega equals 187 ordinal. If you follow Donald Trump's campaign, he had his GOP convention in Cleveland, Ohio, beginning July 18th, and the date most commonly written 18/7 in the world, which was precisely 187 days before Inauguration Day, January 20, 2017. In Chapter 4, you'll learn how both Ohio and time sum to 187 as well, but for now, using our 4 base ciphers, let's reveal how Washington, D.C., George Washington, Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, and Society of Jesus, each total 187. If you're not familiar with the Society of Jesus, they are the Jesuit order, and Donald Trump is a Jesuit, so is the current Pope, Pope Francis, supposedly the first Jesuit to hold the office of the papacy. Not by coincidence, from Donald Trump's June 14 birthday to the Pope's December 17 birthday is a span of 187 days. For your historical reference, where Washington, D.C. now resides, it was once the Catholic colony, thus why D.C. is located between Virginia and Maryland, something like Virgin Mary. If you don't know the history of the Catholic Church, they have been invested in world government just as much as world religion. And it is the Jesuits, the Masonic order within the Catholic Church, who are the ultimate authority of this nation. Recall the Knights Templar once returned the Kabbalah code from the Jerusalem to papacy. Since that day forward, the code has been in effect. Now let's decode those 187s using our base methods. Washington equals 140. DC equals 47. Washington, D.C. equals 187, reverse ordinal. George equals 57. Washington equals 130. George Washington equals 187, ordinal. Star, George W. Bush, born July 6, 187th day of the year. Society equals 93. Of equals 33. Jesus equals 61. Society of Jesus equals 187, reverse ordinal. Ancient equals 30. Accepted equals 30. Scottish equals 32. Rite equals 25. Of equals 12. Freemasonry equals 58. The ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry equals 187. In the time Trump has been in office, many papers and magazines have secretly paid tribute to this number, with cover stories and daily headlines. Out of all that I have documented on my blog at freetofindtruth.blogspot.com, my favorite to date is the February 16th, 2017 cover of Time magazine with a drawing of Trump at his desk, being pelted with wind and rain, and above his head the words, "Nothing to see here." In reduced method, "Nothing to see here" sums to 88, and in the ordinal method, it sums to 187. It's also interesting to note that the date of the cover, written 2/16, as we express it in the States, is something like 216, the Cleveland area code, where he had his GOP convention. As we'll get to later, that's a special number in itself, the product of 6 times 6 times 6. If you've seen the Hollywood flick Pi, a film that introduces Gematria, it is the number the protagonist is chasing, as well as the Orthodox Jewish man who is trying to unravel the Kabbalah code. As we covered last chapter, it is also a similar to the 2,160 years that each age of the zodiac spans. One more time, the code is largely about time. You'll see. Please also understand that what I am writing about Donald Trump is true of every U.S. president, going all the way back to George Washington. The same can be said for the appointment and confirmation of Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch, as well as every man and woman to serve the judicial branch of government prior. Everything without exception that is done in Washington, D.C. is done by the Kabbalistic Code. And yes, even Monica Lewinsky. This is the modus operandi for the capital city. For a little homework, I suggest you decode the name Neil Gorsuch without his middle name, using the ordinal method. If you do it correctly, it should sum to 131. And if you go back and look at the date Donald Trump nominated him for Supreme Court Justice, you'll see that it was January 31, or 1/31, which was 66 days before he was confirmed. Not by chance. Supreme Court using the reduction method and making S equal 10 instead of 1 sums to 66, as does empire when you use the ordinal method. Same with freedom, and also using ordinal. As you should be gathering, we're not free, but instead gears in a machine, at least as we're perceived by the cabal, holding this code over our collective heads. Sorry, cabal, the cat's out of the bag and the cogs are about to be out of place. Back on the subject of 187, an infamous number in hip-hop music, where it is routinely used to reference killing because of the fact that it has several state police departments' homicide code. Fraternal Order of Police equals 187, reverse reduction, E22P11. A very fateful thing happened to the office of the presidency in the United States, 187th year of existence, on the date November 22nd, 1963. That was the date of the JFK assassination, as it is recorded in history books. Would you dare guess the gematria of the title JFK assassination? If you said 187, you're on it. JFK equals 27. Assassination equals 160. JFK assassination equals 187 ordinal. Of course, JFK was killed in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, on 11/22. 11 plus 22 equals 33. In chapters 13 and 17, you'll learn a lot more about the subject. In chapter 4, you'll also learn how JFK assassination equates to 11/22, something like the date, November 22, or 11/22. Again, everything that happens in relation to Washington, D.C., and I mean everything, is by this code. There are zero exceptions, nada. For one more irrelevant 187 before I show you what else you need to know about D.C. for the time being, there is President Richard Nixon, who Donald Trump has been drawing comparisons to, due to wiretapping claims, which, as you should know now, are all news stories that have rolled out by the same exact code. Both wiretap and Richard equate to 43, and Nixon resigned in 74, 43 years prior to 2017, and the Nixon-Trump comparisons. Let's now decode Tricky Dickie's name. Richard equals 128. Nixon equals 59. Richard Nixon equals 187, reverse ordinal. Richard equals 43. Nixon equals 31. Richard Nixon equals 74, reduction, resigned in 74, more later. Having established the significance of 187 in DC, there is only one other number that is more important, that is 47. Not only is 47 the most important number to DC, it is the most important number in this entire study, because the two digits comprising the number are sacred. The number 4 represents foundation, and 7 represents divinity, as well as completeness. The number practically reads as the complete package. In Hebrew, Elohim also equates to 47, so does Judaism, matching the year 47 when recognized as a nation by the United Nations. Further, there is a mathematical relationship between these two numbers. The number dividing into 4, which are 1, 2, and 4, sum to 7. And 7 alone is the fourth prime number. Now, having said that, let's see how relevant words to DC equate to 47. We'll begin with DC. DC equals 47, reverse ordinal. Government equals 47, reverse reduction. Authority equals 47, reduction. President equals 47, reduction. White House equals 47, reverse reduction. Republican equals 47, reduction. Whig equals 47, ordinal. Democrat equals 47, reverse reduction. Trump equals 47, reverse ordinal. Star. Twitter equals 47, reverse reduction. Trump, Twitter, ... Star. 407 years ago, President Lincoln. Think about it. Not coincidentally, on the night of the rigged election, Donald Trump was in the 47th story Midtown Hilton Hotel. just like his Kabbalah teacher must have once taught him when he was being groomed for his future role as puppet dictator Orange. For another 47, going back in history, DC was designed by a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, L'Enfant, from France, the same land that Lady Liberty traveled from. Using the ordinal method, France also sums to 47, one of many New World Order nations sporting the very Masonic red, white, and blue. France equals 47 ordinal. In the Freemason logo shown to the left, the compasses used for composing circles, as you once used in your geometry class, that rests above the G, the 7th letter. That is on top of the square, another tool for making right angles, also from geometry, and used often by architects, contains another hidden tribute to 47. If you measure the angle of the compasses in the logo, it is resting at 47 degrees. The reason why has to do with the measurement of time on this planet we call the Earth. The Tropic of Cancer in the north and the Tropic of Capricorn in the south are at the respective coordinates of 23.5 degrees north and 23.5 degrees south, which is a distance of 47 degrees apart. These tropics are used to measure the solstices, which determine summer and winter for the respective hemispheres. Appropriately, the word time equates to 47, using the ordinal method. So does Ohio, where Trump's GOP convention was hosted. Time equals 47 ordinal. Ohio equals 47 ordinal. For a couple more crucial notes on the compasses set at 47 degrees, the circle at the top is referred to as the pole star with Masonry. Pole star shares the gematria of 47, using the reverse reduction method, and it is in relation to an important mathematical problem that is taught with Masonic lodges, known as the 47th problem of Euclid, the Greek mathematician who is known as the father of geometry. The problem entails how to build a perfect square foundation using a rope, anchor points, and the North Star, or in Masonry, pole star. Using reduction gematria, foundation also sums to 47. Pole star equals 47, reverse reduction. Foundation equals 47, reduction. It is for this reason that modern Freemasonry was established June 24, 1717, with the opening of Premier Grand Lodge of England. It was a date with numerology of 47. 6/24/17 equals 47. It is also for this reason that the cornerstone of Washington, D.C. was laid on September 18, 1793, a date with the life lesson number of 47, calculated as follows: 9/18/1793 equals 47. Later, we will learn more about the Catholic and Jesuit influence over Washington, D.C., but for now, I want you to know that Vatican City was founded on February 11, 1929, and for the same reason, the cornerstone of Washington, D.C. was laid on the date with numerology of 47. Consider February's 11 can also be expressed as 2/11, much like 211, which is the 47th prime number. Further, Vatican has reverse reduction gematria of 47, and February 11 is the 42nd day of the year, connecting to the reduction gematria of Freemason, summing to 42, and the reverse reduction gematria of Jesuit. Consider February 11 can also be expressed as 11/2, like 112. And the Jesuits operate in 112 countries. Star. In Chapter 4, you will learn how Mason equates to 211 in Jewish gematria. Vatican equals 47, reverse reduction. Freemason equals 42, reduction. Jesuit equals 42, reverse reduction. Star. 2/11/29 equals 42. Continuing on, if you pay attention to the headlines, you'll see how often the number 47 is used ritualistically in the capital city and elsewhere. For example, on February 7, 2018, a date with numerology of 47, which happened to be 47 days before Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi's 78th birthday, March 26, she gave the longest speech in history of the nation on the floor of Congress. Star. In Chapter 11, you'll learn the significance of her being 77 years old at the time of the speech, and why it matters that D.C. is on the 77th meridian west. The topic she was speaking about on February 7, 2018 was the Dreamers program. I bet you can guess the gematria of dreamers. Dreamers equals 47, reduction S10. Coming back to the point about foundation, do you think it is any coincidence the United States of America was established July 4, a date expressed 4/7, like foundation, or 7/4? On the subject of 74, let us decode some relevant words that go with the date. The 4th of July, Independence Day. Supposedly we became a free nation that day. I think what they meant was a Freemason nation. Holiday equals 74, ordinal. Independence Day equals 74, reduction. George Washington equals 74, reverse reduction. Free equals 74, reverse ordinal. Masonic equals 74, ordinal. Gematria equals 74, ordinal. English equals 74, ordinal. Hebrew equals 74, reverse reduction, H10, E22. Jewish equals 74, ordinal, gematria, predominantly Jewish practice. Occult equals 74, ordinal, meaning hidden, like a secret. Related, let us decode the name Euclid and the word square, since it is his 47th problem that has to do with creating a perfectly square foundation. As you'll see, his name is a perfect match with the word square. Euclid equals 27 reduction, square equals 27 reduction. For the record, 27 is the product of 3 cubed, or 3 times 3 times 3. In Masonic lore, the compasses in their logo signifies the motto, circumscribe our desires and keep our passions within due bounds. Appropriately, using reverse reduction gematria, the motto sums to 333. Please practice and verify yourself. In Chapter 4, you'll learn how the name El Enfant Plan also equates to 333 in what is known as Jewish gematria. The name of the plan by the Frenchman El Enfant, who designed Washington, D.C., and in doing so made a very specific intersection come to a 47-degree angle that points directly at the White House. This also ties in with the establishment of Israel, which was recognized as a nation November 29, 1947, 333rd day of the year by the United Nations. To say these people are obsessed is a severe understatement. Continuing on the path of geometry, gematria, and the nation's capital city, here are some more crucial points connecting Washington, D.C. even more deeply to the code. If we decipher the name Washington using the reduction method, it sums to 49, same as Donald J. Trump, his common author name. As we'll get to, the release of his books were synced with his planned presidency, as was the show Apprentice, in addition to the number of other TV programs he participated in over the years dating back to 1984, when he became a recognized celebrity in media. That was 33 years before taking D.C. Washington equals 49, reduction. Donald J. Trump equals 49, reduction. Recall the number 227, which relates to pi, and the circle is the 49th prime number. For the record, ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry, which again is headquartered in Washington, sums to 227 in reverse reduction. Even more, using the reduction method, geometry sums to 45, sort of like how Donald Trump is the 45th president. Never mind he was announced as president-elect on November 9th, 2016, the 27-year anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, having reduction of 45 and ordinal gematria of 108, just the same as the word geometry. Think about it. Mr. Donald, I want a wall, Trump, number 45, on November 9. In Chapter 4, you'll learn how the name Donald sums to 119, and we'll revisit this ad from 2009, Talking to Digital Sheep, with the numbers 11 and 9 right on their side about being born for the job while wearing the same suit he wore for selection night. It was a Serta mattress ad, just perfect. Berlin equals 33. Wall equals 12. Berlin Wall equals 45, reduction. Berlin equals 60. Wall equals 48. Berlin Wall equals 108, ordinal. Star, geometry, equals 45, reduction. For another good example, months later on October 8, 2017, a date written /8, a lot like the symmetrical 108 Gematria of geometry. Trump's vice president was on top of the news for walking out of an NFL game in his home state of India, with the Colts hosting the 49ers. Please note the name Mike Pence sums to 45 in reduction gematria, as well as reverse reduction. Perfect for the right-hand man to the 45th president, and pairing nicely with the geometry perfect date. On a related note, if you recall the first accomplishment of the Trump-Pence ticket, it was saving the jobs at Career, summing to 45, and in India as well, Pence's home state. Something you can gather by being aware of this code is what corporations are part of this agenda and which aren't, which the latter are pretty much just your local mom and pop shops at this day and age. Just wait until we talk about some of the coding corporate titans such as McDonald's and Burger King. Back on point, let us decode the name of the VP to number 45. Mike Pence, forwards and backwards. Mike Pence equals 45 reduction. Mike Pence equals 45 reverse reduction. Star, carrier equals 45 reduction. As for the October 8 game Pence attended, he reportedly left early because Donald instructed him to go through a tweet due to players on both teams taking a knee during the national anthem, part of an ongoing feud with the president, highly publicized through Twitter and the mainstream media. By the time the curtains closed on the game, the final score was 26-23, with the hometown Colts winning a game that totaled to a very fitting 49 points, again over the 49ers. From last chapter, recall that POTUS, tweet, and flag equate to 26, the winning score. Tying in, using reverse reduction, America sums to 49, and using reverse ordinal, NFL sums to 49 as well. I wish I could say this was a coincidence. For you sports fans out there, if you're putting your hearts into these games, they're well-planned theater, without exception, that are constantly tied within the mainstream narrative being pushed in the news. Think about the New England Patriots after 9/11 and the Patriot Act. Do you recall it was a New York Jet that ended Drew Bledsoe, which gave rise to Tom Brady? If not, just wait. America equals 49 reverse reduction. Washington equals 49 reduction. Bald eagle equals 49 ordinal. Eagles equals 49 ordinal. NFL equals 49 reverse ordinal. Super Bowl equals 49 reverse reduction. For a little more depth and clear examples of sports being scripted by the code, it was 49ers, named after the gold rush of 1849 that hosted the golden anniversary of the Super Bowl. That Super Bowl was February 7, 2016, on the 38th day of the year, where gold sums to 38 using the ordinal method. Gold equals 38, following the pattern of the losing team was the Panthers, 38 reduction, to the team from the 38th state, Colorado, where Colorado also equates to 38 using the reduction method. If you weren't aware of my work back then, I predicted in October of 2015, months before the game was played, that the Denver Broncos would defeat the Carolina Panthers. Von Miller would be the MVP, and there would be a tribute to the Black Panther Party on YouTube and on my blog. At the time, my prediction tied in with more important discussion, the race war narrative being pushed in the media, something that has been an ongoing mainstream narrative up to the writing of this book, dating back to the death of Trayvon Martin, and really long before that. I also pointed out that in history, Huey P. Newton established the Black Panther Party in the Bay Area, and the star of the Carolina Panthers wore a Black Panther on the side of his helmet and was also named Newton. What I didn't know in October was it would be Beyonce wearing the halftime costume that made the BPP headlines, or that the week before the Super Bowl there would be a new hit TV show about O.J. Simpson, the former NFL star, and his white Bronco chase. In the race war chapter, we'll get to why it was Beyonce who was specifically chosen, and more on that O.J. TV show. For my efforts in decoding the planned game before it transpired, I had a featured article written about me in the USA Today, Big Lead, dated January 27, 2016, titled Mockingly, Conspiracy Theorist Proves Freemasons Rigged AFC and NFC Championship Games, written by Ryan Phillips. At the publishing of this book, that article is still available, but because Google censored all of my content from their platforms, including YouTube, which happened days after announcing I was finishing this book, you cannot watch the videos with the information and predictions, which were once linked in the Big Lead online article. That was 2 weeks before all 3 of my predictions were proven correct, in most convincing of fashion, as we'll cover in depth in the chapter on sports rigging. Since then, I have called many more scripted championships from collegiate to professional across many different sports, and soon you will know how to do the same. I've also called the death of Prince and numerous others, sadly, all from knowing this same code. Back to the game, Vice President Mike Pence attended on October 8th, and for another riddle hidden in plain sight, the 49ers fell to 0-5, much like the reflection of 50. The number of the Super Bowl hosted by the 49ers that was considered the golden anniversary, and the reflection of their once perfect 5-0 Super Bowl record as a team. San Francisco equals 50, reduction. Super Bowl equals 50, reduction, when S is 10. America equals 50, ordinal. Donald equals 50, ordinal. Of course, the 49ers were the team to be shamed in this NFL players kneeling storyline, because it was San Francisco 49er Colin Kaepernick, who had grown out an afro for the first time in his career like a throwback member of the Black Panther Party, just in time for his new kneeling routine. Circa 2016, that had begun the storyline, which has grown continuously ever since. Not by coincidence, using reduction gematria, both Colin Kaepernick and Black Panther Party equate to 47, a number that signifies Masonic as covered. Of course, the Freemasons are the ringleaders of this made-for-television circus, which couldn't look any more absurd, especially when you can read and interpret the code. If you haven't seen Colin's afro, it is very circus-like, and that is no put down to afros, it is only stating the fact about this highly contrived narrative. I should also note that Oakland, California, where Black Panther Party was established, equates to 74 in reduction gematria. The mathematics for each of the names as follows. Black equals 11, Panther equals 37, Party equals 26, Black Panther Party equals 74 reduction. Oakland equals 22, California equals 52, Oakland, California equals 74 reduction. Colin equals 26, Flag equals 26 ordinal, Colts beat 49ers with 26, Kaepernick equals 48, Colin Kaepernick equals 74 reduction. In that same game Pence attended, the quarterback of the winning Colts capped off the Gematria tribute by throwing for 314 yards, our number bringing us back to pi, as we begin with. Again, as we covered to start the chapter, 22 divided by 7 equates to 314. And as we just learned, 227 is the 49th prime, which was the total sum of points for the game over the 49ers on the geometry perfect date. When you know the code, you see how these types of riddles take place on the daily. As I have taught my followers since 2013, professional sports are scripted from the final score to the box score as the rule, never the exception. Just watch, the next game on TV will prove this to be the case. Mark my words. The primetime games are always blatant. For one of many other examples on the subject of 108 in sports, a geometry tribute in recent NBA history was with star player Stephen Curry. It is he who has a March 14, 1988 birthday, celebrated as Pi Day, 3/14, a celebration that began in 1988 and his birth year. In 2017, he signed a record high NBA contract exactly 108 days after his 29th Pi Day birthday. Geometry equals 108/108, ordinal and reverse ordinal. To take it further, put your newly learned skills to the test and see which of the 4 base ciphers pi sums to 29 in. You might surprise yourself how quickly you learn which letters equate to what numbers just by using the code in examining the sports page or daily news headlines. And to make sure the point is understood, there is no more perfect year in this life than that this record contract by the numbers could have come. As we'll get to in the sports chapter, There were numerous and significantly more important tributes to Pi in the championship season that came before the contract, including him scoring 29 on his 29th Pi Day B-Day. Stephen Curry also brings us back to Donald Trump and the flag. Stephen Curry was disinvited from the White House as the past NBA champion, an annual tradition on Twitter by Trump because of Curry's remarks toward the president after Trump asked NFL owners to fire protesting players. Think about The Apprentice, you're fired. Those two events transpired on the same day, September 23, 2017, a date most commonly written 23/9, something like 239. That was no coincidence, because the U.S. flag was sewn at 239 Arch Street in Philadelphia. And when Donald Trump was selected as President of the United States, the flag was 239 years old. Again, Trump and the flag share the same June 14 birthday. Even better, 239 is the 52nd prime number. And this feud between Trump and the NFL began in the season of the Super Bowl 52, which is to be hosted in Minnesota, having reverse reduction gematria of 52 as well. In Chapter 4, you'll learn how the word flag also equates to 52. Also relevant, Stephen Curry plays for the Golden State Warriors, who are originally from Philadelphia. In fact, on his 29th birthday, Pi Day, he defeated Philadelphia with, as mentioned, 29 points. And just so you don't feel like I'm picking on Trump, let's talk about the guy before him, Obama, or as I call him, Obummer. Just as every reported and televised action of Trump is scripted theater, the same was true for Obama, all the way back to George Washington. On September 23, 2015, a date with numerology of 47, Obama hosted Pope Francis. Francis equals 47. Reverse reduction. Vatican equals 47. Reverse reduction. At the White House, knowing 239, like 23/9, is the 52nd prime. This was the perfect date. Pope equals 52 ordinal, NWO equals 52 ordinal, White House equals 52 reduction, President equals 52 reverse reduction, Government equals 52 reduction, Authority equals 52 reverse reduction. On that same date, September 23, New Year's Day of the French Republican calendar, the Pope began speaking on the White House lawn at precisely 9:23 a.m. For the record, 23 is the 9th prime number. Also intriguing, September 23 is the 266th day of the year. And Pope Francis is the 266th Pope in the history of the Catholic Church. In light of the number 266, think about mankind being created in the 26th verse on the 6th day. There's a lot more to the story, especially on the subject of 52, and the Pope, and the Catholic Church, and the New World Order, but we'll save it for later. For now, we will close with the number that connects the language, with the stars above, with the keepers of this knowledge, who set up shop in Vatican City and Washington, D.C., among other places. Before we get there, please understand the English language and the Gregorian calendar, the latter of which was created by the Catholic Church, are part of the cohesive system. It was at the same historical period English was being standardized as a 26-letter alphabet that the Gregorian calendar was replacing the Julian calendar throughout the world, converting the new year from the spring to the dead of winter, a very illogical thing to do. If this has never drawn on you before, the reason New Year's was traditionally in the spring is because that is when the life around us becomes anew, from flora and fauna to spring chickens. In other words, the old calendar was in sync with life, and the current calendar is paying tribute to death, which is not by accident, far from it. Death, as will become understood, is a very ritualistic and important thing to the Kabbalah, a means of control for the tyrants who momentarily rule over we the people and get away with murder plus more. Now for the closeout and clincher. It is the number 58 that brings it all together. We'll start by decoding alphabetic in light of the Phoenicians who gave us the first. Alphabetic equals 58, reverse reduction. Phoenician equals 58, reduction. In the time of the Phoenicians was the same historical period the zodiac became understood, which was the time of Babylon. Again, the language is synced with above. Zodiac equals 58, ordinal. Celestial equals 58, reverse reduction. Star equals 58, ordinal. Stars equals 58, reverse ordinal. Solar cycle equals 58, reverse reduction. Calendar equals 58, ordinal. Gregorian equals 58, reduction. Above is where the Creator resides, at least so we are told. Personally, I believe God is in all things, even us. And I use the phrase the Creator because that is how Freemasonry references God in their contract for joining the Brotherhood. The Creator is also known as the Tetragrammaton, the four-letter name of God, YHWH, covered last chapter. Also noteworthy, Manly P. Hall, the most outspoken Freemason in history, who became the 33rd degree exactly 47 years after publishing his most famous work, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, states in his lesser-known works, The Occult Anatomy of Man and Spiritual Centers in Man, that the Torah, also known as the Pentateuch, where Kabbalah is based, is truly a scripture about the heavens above and our relation on earth in regards to the heavens or the stars above. He states, the same is true of all world religions, including Christianity, which is why he is hated by so many. If you have never read his most noteworthy title, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, it serves as a complement to this book you are now reading. You'll see in that text, published in 1928, he revealed half the Gematria code, teaching the ordinal and reduction methods. At the same time, he does not delve very deep, leaving it up to the reader to discover the relevance, as I once had to do and have been since 2013 up to the present. What he does recommend, however, is learning the reduction method, because it bears much fruit, and that was no lie. Father equals 58, the Creator equals 58, reverse reduction. Tetragrammaton equals 58, reduction. The Torah equals 58, reverse reduction, H as 10. Pentateuch equals 58, reverse reduction, H as 10. Biblical equals 58, reverse reduction. In God We Trust equals 58, reduction. And Nuit Coeptis equals 58, reduction. The mottos In God We Trust and Annuit Coeptis are on the US dollar bill. Annuit Coeptis, according to Richard S. Patterson and Richardson Dugal, means God favors our undertaking. Again, Freemasonry are the keepers of this knowledge and the architects of English. Their secrets trace back to Jerusalem and Solomon's Temple, said to be the most glorious structure of its time in the entire world. Keep in mind, the Freemasons were traditionally builders specializing in constructing the many religious structures of the world across all faiths. After the Renaissance, this changed, however. It became a society of political elites, philosophers, and learned men. Despite the change of personnel, they continued to refer to themselves as craftsmen. Freemasonry equals 58, reduction. Fraternal equals 58, reverse reduction. Secret Society equals 58, reduction. Solomon's Temple equals 58, reduction. Herod's Temple equals 58, reverse reduction. Tracing Board equals 58, reduction. Jerusalem equals 58, reverse reduction. Craftsman equals 58, reverse reduction. United States equals 58, reduction, S as 10. Washington equals 58, reduction, S as 10. Scottish equals 58, reverse reduction, H as 10. London, England equals 58, reverse reduction. We the people equals 58, reduction. Power equals 58, reverse ordinal. Pagans equals 58, ordinal. Star, think about Christian-pagan overlap. To add to the knowledge bank, modern Freemasonry traces its roots to the Rosicrucian order, which means rose cross, where rose symbolizes secrecy. Rosicrucian equals 58, reduction. Rose cross equals 58, reverse reduction. As we'll cover in the chapters on Freemasonry, King James, who has a Bible named after him, died at age 58 unexpectedly. He was a Rosicrucian first, then a Freemason, just like his right-hand man, Francis Bacon, who is believed to be the most influential person in the establishment of what became the United States of America. Later we'll talk about his unexpected April 9th death in the year 1626 as well. He died on the 99th day for a very specific reason, when the roots of the United States of America were growing. Back to the Donald, as we mentioned last chapter, he was the winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election. And before winning, he announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower in New York City, which was followed up later in history by him hiring the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day, which fell on January 20, 2017, a date happening to have 58 numerology. We will close out by examining the 6 crucial paths, or finding the number of a date. These paths and the number they generate are crucial to observe in decoding rigged sports games and scripted news headlines. What you'll find again and again is how box scores and what's being reported on the boob tube and in the papers will secretly code numbers that are in tribute to these numerology paths, as well as the day count of the calendar year and the number of days remaining from the date in the year. To practice, we'll decode September 11, 2001, using each of the 6 crucial methods, a date I'm sure you'll remember a thing or two about. 9/11/2001 equals 9 plus 11 plus 20 plus 01 equals 41. 9/11/2001 equals 9 plus 11 plus parentheses 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 parentheses equals 23. 9/11/2001 equals 9 plus 1 plus 1 plus parentheses 20 plus 01 parentheses equals 32. 9/11/2001 equals 9 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 equals 14. 9/11/01 equals 9 plus 11 plus 01 equals 21. 9/11 equals 9 plus 11 equals 20. Starting with the 41, USA and Al-Qaeda equate to 41 using ordinal. Fitting right in, Saudi Arabia using reduction sums to 41. Using reverse reduction, terror equates to 41. The number 41 is the 13th prime, which is very special to the history of this nation. Think about the 13 original colonies, the 13 stripes on the flag, and what was once 13 stars. Using reduction, star also equates to 13. As for the 23 in the date, Al-Qaeda using reduction sums to 23. So does symbol. And the date was highly symbolic. As you'll learn, the 2 towers were meant to represent the destruction of the 2 towers in Jerusalem. As for the 32, that number represents America, using reduction. And this nation was established on a date having numerology of 32. 7/4 /1776 equals 7 plus 4 plus 1 plus 7 plus 7 plus 6 equals 32. As we'll cover in the chapter on Kabbalah, there are 32 paths. Next up, the number 14 is interesting. USA in reduction with S as 10 sums to 14, and if you write out 14 in reduction, the word sums to 41, much like how it is the reflection of 41. As you know, the USA has never been the same since that date. Moving on to 21, both Bible and Jesuit sum to 21 in reduction. And the narrative of that day paying tribute to Solomon's and Herod's temple biblical structures was Bible-based. Last up, the number 20 is very unique. Note T, which looks like a cross, is the 20th letter. Using reduction, the words cross, time, and seasons each equate to 20. Throughout history, the cross has symbolized the season, and the seasons represent time. This was an event to change the course of time, and it has, for the worse, which we must reverse. Using reduction, death also equates to 20, and time and death go hand in hand. Star, star, star. In the chapters ahead, we will refer to ordinal gematria as O in parentheses, reduction gematria as R in parentheses, reverse ordinal gematria as RO in parentheses, and reverse reduction gematria as RR in parentheses. I will also notate when the options are utilized for the 11th letter, 19th letter, and 22nd letters for reduction and reverse reduction. For example, Book of the Law equals 52 R in parentheses. Kabbalah equals 52 RR in parentheses. Tree of Life equals 52 RR in parentheses. Etz HaShaim equals 52 RR in parentheses, star, Jewish name for Tree of Life. Gematria equals 52 RR in parentheses. The Cabal equals 52 O in parentheses. Authority equals 52 in RR parentheses. Government equals 52 R in parentheses. The Book of the Law equals 239 RO in parentheses, star, Torah equals 239 Jewish gematria in parentheses, star. You'll learn this cipher in chapter 4. Ahead, you will learn more about this example and how numbers 239 and 52nd prime number. Please note that the Book of the Law is an alternate name for the Torah.